Welcome to HopexPodcast. Hi, I'm Praise Hopel from HopexPodcast. Today's episode is Awakening. This episode will focus on us human beings ignoring signs and call-outs. Things that has been calling out to the human race for a very long time. It's gonna talk about how we appreciate people and time and actually pay attention and love one another. I hope this episode makes you a better person. I hope it helps you to understand that the only way for this love in this world to increase and be better is if we try. I'm Praise Hopel from HopexPodcast. Stay tuned. What is awakening? Today we're going to talk about awakenings and what it means in the real world. According to the dictionary, awakening is a sudden realization, something sudden that you realize. I have not introduced myself. I am Praise Hopel from HopexPodcast. Awakenings, of course, it's different for everybody. But in my definition, awakening is more than something that's sudden. It's more than you waking up from sleep or realizing something. Awakenings, it's something that's been calling out for help. Awakenings is something that talks, something that speaks. It doesn't necessarily have to talk to you the way I'm talking to you right now. No. It could be awakenings on life, on education, realization that something has to be done, or making better of something. See, there are different types of awakenings. One, it could be something that has been calling out for help for so long that awakens us to realize that it's happening, but then we choose to ignore what's going on. Second, it could be something that has been calling out for help and we eventually or suddenly just respond to whatsoever it is that has been calling out for help. Or an awakening, thirdly, could just be something that we do pay attention to, something that we nurture and we give it help, but then we go back to our daily lives and this thing, whatsoever it is, has to start all over again because we acted like we care, or at least we acted like it matters, but it doesn't. Or it could just be something that really do matters, we just doesn't care or don't care if it does matter. Human beings have been having awakening for years and years after years. Since the beginning of time, awakenings has been happening. It's been happening for so long that we don't even realize that it does. We human beings have the tendency to react and the ability to help each other out on any type of situation. But then it's up to our choices and our hearts to want to help each other out. Of course, everything that's been going on this year has opened a lot of people's eyes and their mentality to a lot of things that even many of us did not realize or ever expect to come to pass. But this year has been so remarkable that everybody is involved in something or the other, and it affects every living human on earth, not just in America, all over the world. We as human beings have something called going back to our normal life or our daily life, after something has already happened. For example, if something happened and we determine to fix whatever it is, either good or bad, or make it better, and then we do it for a little while, and by the time you know it, everybody goes back to their regular life. There was a time I remember very well that I told my mom that I was going to exercise every morning when I wake up. And I was going to do it as something permanent. I was going to make it something permanent as a part of me for the rest of my life. And that was 2 years ago. But the truth is that I don't wake up every morning to exercise. I do exercise once in a while, but not every morning. You see, we make promises. I made a promise to myself that I was going to do something, and I did it for about 4 to 5 months, and I stopped doing it every morning because I fell back into the life that I used to have, which is not exercising every morning. But one thing I didn't realize is that during that time that I had promised myself that I will be exercising every morning, I wasn't promising myself that I was going to do something. No, I was promising my humanity at the time because of what I wanted to achieve. I didn't think of what if I have mornings that I was too tired to get off the bed, or what if I have mornings that I have to go to work, or something happens like an emergency. But I just said it because I wanted my mom to believe it. And I wanted myself to believe it that I could do it, even though I could do it or I can do it. That's the problem of humanity. That's the problem we human beings face every day. We tend to act like we care, but we really don't. We care for a little while, and after a while, we stop caring. We say things and swear on heaven and earth that we can possibly do a lot of things, but we don't. See, that's part of an awakening. An awakening to promise myself that I was going to do something that I should have been doing. But then I went back to the person that I used to be. Everything that has been happening in 2020 has involved all humanity, all race, all ethnicity, all religion, all culture, or human beings. And this year did not differentiate between ethnicity or race. People differentiated between ethnicity and race. People differentiated between the real problem and reality. If human beings has been paying attention for years to a lot of things around us, 2020 will just might be a different type of year, I assume. If human beings have been paying attention like they're supposed to have been, if they have been taking actions on things that needed actions instead of putting them aside, instead of making it seem like it doesn't matter, this year would have been better. If human beings really care for one another, if they see the humanity and love in one another, this year, or even many years to come and before, would have been better. Awakenings has been happening since the beginning of time. Not just to race or ethnicity, no. Even though, yes, they are included in these awakenings. But also an awakening to destroy and diminish negativity, an awakening to do the right thing so that people will not run rancid and will not get away with every actions or every crime that they commit. Now, like I'm saying this right now, I don't need you to pinpoint any type of movements like Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, coronavirus or the epidemic as an example. Because people keep focusing on all of these things. But even before the coronavirus broke out, or before the Black Lives Movement, or Blue Lives Movements, or lynching, or hating each other, or the police, or the government, or people, even before all these problems eradicated and become problems, there are awakenings like problem in culture, problem in society, problem in religion, problem in a home, problem in a family. Many problems that has nothing to do with ethnicity, race, or police brutality, or the government. There are problems everywhere. As human beings, we have a part of us to destroy negativity. And even though problems have to be solved one at a time, it doesn't take 1,000 years for a space in this earth where there are more than 10 billion people living in this space to solve a problem that has been occurring too many times for 1,000 years. It doesn't take that long. Because we human beings have characteristics. We have wisdom. We have knowledge and understanding, but we lack love. We lack the purpose of humanity. We lack what makes us human. We lack loving each other and putting it into place that we have the strength to keep on doing it and loving each other. We lack goodness. We lack giving, that we accept greed to ourselves and within ourselves. There are problems every day. But not until it becomes huge, big, and ripe that it bursts, that it spread like a wildfire. Until then, does it matter? No, that's the problem. We keep piling up stuff, piling up things without taking actions and just letting it be. We humans need to do better when it comes to helping each other out. Like our last episode talking about seeing humanity in one another. Having awakenings to stand up and discharge negativity and destroy it so that it will not become rampant or increase in number, that when it's so worse and bad, that's when we want to stand up and help. All of these movements that are going on now happened not just because of a man that was lynched alone, no, but because it has been happening for too long that all race, including Africans, African Americans, Caucasians, Asians, Latinos, Mexicans, people, human beings in general, let it move for so long before they started voicing out. And I had this belief that somebody told me that people has been voicing out. But then what happened to the movements that just stood up all of a sudden, out of nowhere? The focus of this episode is not on the movements alone. No, it is not on the movements. The focus of this episode is on all human race, all human beings, every man, woman, boy, and girls that has a heart and understand the difference between helping each other, making use of your time, doing positive things, and vanquishing evil. See, awakenings happens every day. It is, for example, I could realize that I have an homework that's due tonight, and I could just get up and decide to do it, or I could just decide not to. Awakenings is not something that's happening now. Even in the history, something that talks about the Great Awakening, the time where a lot of things were happening. But see, even the time that the Great Awakening were going on, awakenings have been before that time. Awakenings has been going on before that time. That time was when all the awakenings that people have been buried. Then the time of the Great Awakening, they started having reforms, movements to make things better. If you know the Great Awakening, and if you don't, that was what was happening at the time. A lot was happening at the time that I didn't even mention. We don't have to let things go worse before we decide to make a change. I always say this in every episode, at least a few of them. Let me correct that. That this podcast has no limit to race, ethnicity, color, religion, culture, people, human, location, who and whoever you are, wherever you're listening. Because just like I am not a God, and I am just a human being, does not make me any better than you. And does not make you any better than me. And the reason why I'm saying this is that it is heartbreaking to see what human beings have turned the awakenings into and blame each other's culture, ethnicity, and race. Why we human beings have to fix ourselves. In every race, there is a type of problem. In every ethnicity, there is a type of problem. In every religion, culture, nation, world, family, people, a person. Blaming each other for our rancidness or for us going or getting to this place is not the only solution. Because just like I'm no better than you and you're not better than me, there is a reason why we cannot be perfect human beings, because perfection is an overstatement. Awakenings that's happening now and the ones that are happening in the past, putting race aside and ethnicity aside, without them being in this conversation, they have more problems than race and ethnicity that will eventually become even more greater problem. For example, I used to have a friend. He's no longer here anymore. I believe he's in a better place now. Before I met him, this was actually in the Onu state. He was a armed robber. He used to rob houses, cars, steal. And when I met him, he had become a janitor at a place that he was working at the time. And the story of me meeting him was actually that I wanted to buy something at the store where he was working. But I didn't have enough change. I didn't realize I didn't have enough change. But he was a janitor. And I was checking my bag, checking coins, trying to put it all together so I can just get whatever I need to get. But for some reason, he came up to the cashier, even though he knew the cashier of the company. Of course, he was working there. And he paid for me. The first expression I had which I'm pretty sure a lot of people probably have, is, oh, maybe this person likes you. That's why they paid for you, which is not always the case. But later on, we exchanged numbers, and he never asked me out on a date. Not because he was trying to ask me out on a date, no, but just because he was being a polite person. And what does he have to do with this episode? Is that he had an awakening, that he had to stop being somebody that he's not anymore, because he realized one day how much he had messed up so much that he had made himself become the tool for stealing, for lying, for burglary, for robbing people. He died 9 years after that. I was very young when I met him, but he was my friend. And during those years, I don't remember anybody reporting anything bad about this man, even though for the rest of his life that I knew him, after that moment that I met him at the store, he was trying to fix himself. But then I asked him one day, I said, you didn't have to wait this long to fix yourself. He died fixing himself. But at least he made a change. See, awakenings happens every day. And this man doesn't have to be somebody different from me, because he had made so many mistakes. Does not make him a better human than me. Does not make me a better human than him. But he realized an awakening that he has been having for years. And he didn't have to change, but he did. But because he let it down too long, it destroyed him. That he tried to fix everything, but he couldn't. But for the moment I knew him, he was a great man. So because things had running rancid, and they're running the way they're not supposed to, but we keep ignoring it, we keep piling it up, don't you realize that one day it's going to backfire? No matter how much or how far people decide to bury the truth, you can never unbury the truth. It's just going to be like the rain that falls from the sky and everybody knows it's raining. It's going to be like the sun when it shines bright. That's how you can see. It's going to smell and stink. You cannot hide the part of yourself for too long. When something is wrong, just fix it. I'm not saying put your life in danger. No. I'm not saying risk your life that will affect you and people that you love. That is not what I'm saying. I am saying we human beings have let this world slip out so much that we let everything get away with everything. And it's backfiring on us. And as well, it's been backfiring for years. Because it's not in our face like it is now, does not mean that it hasn't been happening. Like I've said before, I don't need anybody to pinpoint on the movement or anybody to pinpoint on race and blame each other's race. No, because I have seen different people from different backgrounds, ethnicity, culture, religion, do different things, positives and negative, and their race has absolutely nothing to do with it. It's just them being human beings. So every human listening, every race listening, whoever you are and whatever you are, either you care or you just do not care. You are no better for blaming somebody else. You don't have the right to blame anybody else, because I'm telling you right now that there is something in your life that is not as perfect as somebody else's. There is something that needs to be done and corrected, that you know it. And you've been ignoring that for years. So therefore, you do not have any right to blame anybody's race or ethnicity if you cannot even become somebody better within yourself. or make yourself somebody better. Our awakening is a part of us. It's a part of our humanity. And it cannot be avoided for too long, because later on the truth and the awakening will speak up, and we human beings, we have no choice but to face what we've become. Like I've said again, and I'm saying now, anybody that is listening from any race or whoever you are no better than anybody else. You are not better than anybody else. Either they kill somebody or they do anything bad, you are no better, because you've done things that are bad too. So your color, your race, your ethnicity, who you are, does not make you better. Either you're the victim or not. No, nobody is innocent. Not in this world. I am not. And I know well that I'm not. If you have any questions, you can call us at 404-254-9722. Or you can email us at praisehopel@yahoo.com or praisehopel@gmail.com. You can also comment below. Record your comments if you'd like to. We would like to hear from you. Send us an email if you don't want anybody to hear what you want to say or have to say. Love each other. Do not pinpoint hands at one another. Help each other out. That's the only way we can be better. Forgive. Sometimes forgiveness is hard, but we can try. Do not blame each other. It's not going to help you. It's only going to be worse. I'm Praise Hopel from HopexPodcast, and we'll see you again. Please come back again. Thank you. The word of the day is work. Work has many definitions, such as you going to your place of job every day, or an occasion, or energy, using your energy in some type of way or the other. Work is in our body, like when we think, our body is working, our brain is working. It could be you resting and putting everything to pause in your system. But work, by what I mean, is actually putting in the work to be better, seeing humanity in one another, understanding that energy and work is one thing that we have to keep on striving for, things that we have to use as we become better people towards one another. So today, I hope you learn and understand that work is just more than what you think. It's actually you trying, an effort, a strength. I am Praise Hopel, and this is your inspirational quote of the day. In this episode, we talk about awakenings and how it affects people in our environment and ourselves. And it's also something that I've learned is that even myself has to improve on how I accommodate people or listen to signals and things that I see around me personally as myself. I hope this episode helps you to understand that the little changes we make in our lives and in our environments with people, for people, really affect who we become and how the environment can be changed by us. The little change we put into our humanity and ourselves and each other affects who we are and who we become. So helping each other and being a better person today, it's by far the best choice or chances we could ever take. I hope this episode helps you to become a better person. Our new episode comes up every week now. It used to be every 2 weeks, but now it's every week, every other Thursday by 6 p.m. we should have a new episode. And you can always go back and forth to listen to it. It's never going to be taken away from you. You can always go back anytime to listen to our episode. I hope it helps you on your journey in life. I hope so. make you believe that there is a better person in this world, and goodness is the only positive things that we can be, or at least use to become a better human. If you have any questions, call us at 404-254-9722, or you can text us at this number as well. We reply to your text. Also email us at praisehopel@yahoo.com and praisehopel@gmail.com. Comments below. You can also record your voice notes. We reply to your comments, so feel free to comment. Respect each other as you comment. Please do not disrespect anybody's heritage, culture, pride, or who they are. Respect each other wisely. I'm Praise Hopel once again from HopexPodcast. Thank you and come back again.